Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
He's the current undefeated Super Bantamweight champion of the Europe, making his fourth defense. Would you please welcome from Barnet, where he is known as the Spencer.
It's that time, isn't it? 5 minutes past 12 noon at Thursday lunchtime. In he struts with a swagger that we've grown to love and know. Spencer Oliver is in our midst this lunchtime. Spencer, good afternoon to you.
Jim, Simon, how are we both doing?
Very well. Very well.
Very interesting jacket you've got on there, Jim.
What is it about this jacket? This was a jacket
looks like you've mugged a homeless person.
That's a final insult. There's one thing being insulted by Lord Jordan. When it comes to pint-sized Oliver, who's due a slap in the next commercial break, I shall soldier on with my dignity intact. Spencer, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. I noticed you haven't put that jacket back on. You've kept yours over the back.
I don't want to wear a jacket if you're going to wear that one next time.
Thank you so much. I was going to do the big sell on the fight, so let's do the big sell on the fight. Tyson Fury returns from retirement this Saturday night after a 15-month absence to face Arslanbek Makhmudov at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's live on Netflix.
I'm the best British heavyweight there's ever been. Fury's in trouble! Fury is down! I thought that you were done. I came back for one reason only, and that's to make boxing great again.
I hustle, I flex, the world is mine.
Boxing is the only thing that gives me purpose. I have to fight somebody dangerous. That is the power of Makhmudov! Oh, big shot! I'm looking forward to punching his face right in.
That's nice. So in he goes against Arslanbek Makhmudov. Spencer, it's another big fight week here in the UK. But have you known there to be a quieter one?
Yeah, I thought there'd be more interest, if I'm totally honest, with Tyson Fury coming back, being a dominant force over the last decade or so. Arslanbek Makhmudov is a decent opponent that could ask him questions going into this. So, yeah, maybe I thought there would have been more interest than there is so far, but there's still time. Conor Benn, Regis Prograis on the card as well creates a lot more interest, whether you think that's for the right or wrong reasons. So, yeah, I'm quite surprised that it's not caught fire the way that it should have yet.
We've heard stories of ticket sales being somewhat sluggish, Simon. Where does the Tyson Fury buzz?
Well, like we said earlier on, is it because we're not involved? We don't speak to Tyson and his camp, so that ultimately we're a little bit disconnected? Is it because it's on Netflix and Netflix has its own environment where it operates in? I mean, is there a press conference today?
Yeah, we're at a press conference today from 6 p.m.
You'll see today, won't you? You'll see how the noise reverberates. I mean, I've seen a lot of coverage on Sky and saw Tyson Fury talking to Sky about the situation and circumstances. But this idea, I mean, that Tyson needs to come back to make boxing great again is a load of old nonsense, because it's thriving very well. Of course, having personalities and charismatic personalities like Tyson Fury back in the mix will enhance the brew. But boxing is in a very good space right now. There's lots of noise and lots of interest and lots of intrigue and lots of great fighters having great fights. We've got new people in the camp like Moses Itauma, where all the energy is going into what Moses is doing. So there's a raft of other things that are equally as compelling. But Tyson coming back is always going to add some value to the equation, but it doesn't need him to make boxing great again. And that's just him, you know, like he said when he sat in Saudi, that he shouldn't have to pay tax in this country because he's done so much for the country. You know, these are just things that Fury does to self-promote.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Jim, we was at the media day yesterday and there was a lot of media. There was a buzz around that day. So I think that it may be kicking off really just from now. The interest sort of like kicking off from now. It's been a busy old month really for the boxing. It's like, so yeah. I think week by week, you know, that's where the interest comes.
In terms of a matchup, what is Makhmudov to Fury?
He's a tough guy, very tough guy. You know, he's one of those very dangerous, big, very heavy-handed, 19 of his 22 inside the distance. Beat Dave Allen last time out, but we're talking about levels to the game here. You know, Ajit Caballel, you know, he was found out against Caballel, was expected to win that fight, went in there, got knocked out himself in 4 rounds, has lost since then as well. So it's an interesting fight because I think for Tyson Fury at this stage of his game with the, you know, inactivity, retiring after the Usyk defeats, coming back again, you go like 36, 37 years of age that he is now, you go, you know, unless he's at his best, he, you know, it could be a problem. So,
Right.
Yeah, it's an interesting
So only if
fight.
he's at his best, Spencer, might he stand a chance of enhancing his standing.
Maybe not at his best, but he has to be somewhere there or thereabouts. And I think that Tyson Fury's picked Makhmudov to test himself to see if he does belong still at that level. You know, I think it's a credible opponent for Fury at this stage for sure.
Do you believe it's a credible opponent?
Oh, very much so. A credible opponent in terms of giving him a slight test, but 60% of Tyson Fury beats this guy all day.
That's fair.
And we saw him get whittled. I mean, once upon a time he was a beast, and people were, not just by the way he looks, but in terms of his in-ring performance. But Ajit Kabayel dispelled all that, whittled him down, and since then he's not been the same in terms of people's perception of him. Dave Allen, with due respect, although Dave Allen is talking a wonderful game about what he's going to do to Filip Hrgovic. Now, whether Dave thinks about the opportunity that he didn't take against Makhmudov and will take against Hrgovic, because Hrgovic is considered a world-level operator.
Spencer, I've got to say, quite a lot of fight fans get in touch, as you do while we're on air. It's great, 81089. Spencer, what you're talking about, Makhmudov is a heavy bag on legs. Nothing more than that.
Sort of disagree with that. Unfortunately, that person's clearly never boxed before. Yeah, no, he's a little bit more than that. He's a little bit more of a test than a heavy bag on legs. Trust me on that one. You know, Vianello was the only other guy to stop him. That was in eight rounds. But since then, he's won a couple of fights. He's big. He's a big guy. He's heavy-handed, and he can fight. You know, whether you like it or whether you don't like it. For Tyson Fury, as a comeback fight, it's a decent fight. I agree with Simon.
Yeah.
60% of the old Fury does beat him. But we don't know what's there, do we? And Tyson Fury may not know what's there either. It's all right training and, performing well in training, but when the bell rings, then it's a different story. It's a different game.
Well, I agree with Simon in that boxing has been in no way dull in the absence of Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is back. He's been in conversation with Mike Coppinger of Inside Ring, and he spoke with, of course, the likes of Chisora and Wilder coming back. Did that feature in his mind that maybe he should come back?
By the time the fight comes around on Saturday, I'll have been out the ring 16 months, and that 37-year-old, 16 months is a long time. So I have a little bit of stuff to do and to think about in my own mind and see how I am. After watching Deontay and Chisora the other night fight, it was hard to watch for me. It was sad. It was heartbreaking. And I'd never seen two men slide as much as them two in my life. And I'm thinking, am I next? Is this me? So I said to the boys, if I'm even 10% as bad as those guys in my fight, take me out to the field and shoot me.
What kind of danger does Makhmudov present to Tyson?
He's heavy-handed. If Tyson's there and he gets tagged early, then it's a big problem. Like Tyson's saying there, look, he's going in there now. Like that era, that generation of boxers, they are all deteriorating. We did see that with Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder. That they were shells of their former selves, really. It was a good fight, an entertaining fight, because they were both at that level. It was a well-matched contest. But like Fury says, am I next? Because you don't really know at this stage of the game. The wheels can come off at any point.
In all honesty, Spencer, and the messages are coming in, and they're coming in big numbers, all saying Makhmudov doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
What we're going to see?
We should see a Tyson Fury victory, and should see quite a convincing victory. We should. But that's where the stage of the game, and that's why the intrigue's there, because we're at that stage of the game where you go, Tyson Fury's been out a while now. He's been known not to live the particularly good life when he's there, when he's not in training. He's not training at all. He's putting on weight. He's got to come back down again. That takes a toll on his body.
Yeah.
So we just don't know what Tyson Fury are going to get, and that is the interest in this one. A prime Tyson Fury against a prime Makhmudov is a no contest. Tyson Fury steamrolls him.
Right.
But
it's what it might lead to, Simon, I think. Fury spoke about a future fight with Joshua, and he says, if everything goes well in this fight on Saturday night against Makhmudov, then that's a fight we're all looking to make next.
Well, it's interesting because he, as he says, and he said in an interview yesterday, and that's brilliant Tyson Fury. That's funny and it's humorous and it's self-effacing, and that's the Tyson Fury that I admire and like and met in the changing room at Wembley when he fought Dillian Whyte back in the day. The other boorish Tyson Fury I can do without. What it leads to, well, look, he tells you regularly that he's got so much money, and if you look at his accounts, he's got a couple of £100 million, so he doesn't need to be coming back for money. So fighting Anthony Joshua, does it square a circle, or does he want to win a world title again? It all depends what this enigma tells you he wants to do. He'll tell, because he wants to create noise, content, and one thing that Tyson Fury can't bear being is not part of a conversation. So he'll keep on throwing out these shades and telling people what he's going to do and what he's not going to do. But the fact of the matter is, he deals with Makhmudov, and then on the back of that, we'll know where Fury really is. And I think he'll deal with Makhmudov compellingly and convincingly. He's had playoffs before. I know he's 37. I know that he's coming off the back of a debilitating defeat in his mind to Alexander Usyk that he suggests he won, and everyone knows he didn't. Right, besides Frank and him, but the fact of the matter is that he comes back in with a history of having long layoffs and then coming back in and surprising everybody. He'll come back in. He will know in training whether he's still got the snap, and he will have the snap to deal with Makhmudov.
Okay, and that he'll come out of it looking impressive.
Yeah,
and not like a shadow of himself, maybe like Chisora and Wilder might have been argued to have done.
Yeah, and I think that where Tyson Fury's mindset is right now is, I think he's coming out to square the circle. I think it is the Anthony Joshua fight that he wants. You know, it's about these eras and fighting. You know, it's a fight that we'd like to see. I think he wants that fight more than winning a world title again.
Okay, after this short break, former WBO cruiserweight champion turned pundit Johnny Nelson will be joining us live in the show. We're talking boxing live on talkSPORT, also live on your YouTube channel, wherever you want to watch the show. You can watch us live on your telly, even Prime Video. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Spencer Oliver. We're talking about Tyson Fury returning from retirement this Saturday night to face Arslanbek Makhmudov at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Former WBO cruiserweight champion and top boxing pundit Johnny Nelson is going to be on duty that night. Johnny will be alongside Little Spencer and Adam Cattrall, providing talkSPORT coverage via a watch-along of Fury Makhmudov on the YouTube channel. That is then, and this is now. And now Johnny Nelson joins us live. Johnny, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. There's not very much little about Spencer, so I look forward to Saturday night. We'll have a good time.
I'm looking forward to seeing you in action as well, Johnny. What do you make of this? I mean, I said to Spencer and Simon at the top of the hour, it's another big fight week, Johnny, or is it? I mean, it's a quiet one. Have you known a quieter one?
Maybe. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Maybe because John's not in the mix, but it's quiet because I don't know. The question marks are there. John has let a few cats out of the bag in regards to what's been going on in training camp and where he thinks his son is. Tyson's been relatively a bit subdued, if I'd say so. And this fight, it's basically looking at Tyson where he's at. We know about Makhmudov. We know when he boxed Dave Allen. We know what kind of fight he is. So we just need to find out what kind of fighter Dave Allen is. Does this fight make you sit at the edge of your seats and think, I've got to see this? Not really, no. It's about the curiosity of where Tyson is right now in his career.
Johnny, where do you think exactly Tyson Fury is right now? Do you think that he's still got anything left? Do you think that we will see that on Saturday night?
Spenny, you know what? I think this version of Tyson beats 80% of the fighters out there. I think his dad got it down to a T, and his dad has been villainized by everybody. Because of the way he sends the message out. I think the stuff you got out of him in the interview was brilliant. It was honest. It was crude at times. But his dad, I'll say how it is. His dad knows boxing. Might be a bit of a cojones sometimes, but he knows boxing, and he knows his son, and he knows what his son's capable of. So he knows his son is no longer capable of the things he did. So it's not until you see it, until the milk spill, that you think, oh yeah. So and they're trying to shut him down. I think with Tyson, he probably knows that as well. At this stage in his career, he's still a character. He still can make noise. He's still the one people talk about. You've seen Wilder's kind of now shown his colours to say, you know what, you're out of the mix. The danger of you's gone. Tyson is still that mystery of him to see if, are you still a danger? Are we to believe you that you can do it again? You've retired 4 or 5 times. You've said, you know, you never lost to Usyk twice over. So these are all question marks that we're waiting to see what version of Tyson turns up.
And Johnny, let's talk about his opponent, Arslanbek Makhmudov. How much of a threat do you think that he poses? And could he be a danger?
He shouldn't be. I think Makhmudov is unbelievably fit and he's strong. He's a big unit, and Tyson knows that. But I also think Tyson will be unbelievably fit. He's been out in Thailand for 10 weeks, training out there. My sources tell me that his fitness is off the scale. But It's not just about that. If you haven't got the legs, if you haven't got the time in hand-foot coordination, then it's going to show in the ring. And he's going to need to be fit against Makhmudov because Makhmudov is a tough man. Dave Allen's no pushover. He makes you work for your lunch. And so therefore, if he managed to handle Dave Allen and out-muscle Dave Allen, out-gear Dave Allen, Tyson Fury's boxing ability are the things that will win him this fight, not his power and prowess, because he's up against someone that's as tall, that's as big, that's aggressive, that'll walk onto him. His boxing ability should get the job done. If he lacks in fitness, then he'll get exposed. When you look at Tyson Fury, and in your mind's eye, Johnny, you talked about the fact it'd be 80% of the fighters out there, which potentially might include Ajit Kabiel. Ajit Kabiel whittled Makhmudov down. So when you look at that comparison, why would you not think that potentially Tyson Fury will no doubt whittle Makhmudov down to what he was in the fight against Ajit Kabiel? That's the question. These are the question marks about Makhmudov, about Tyson, because we know what he's capable of doing. We know what sort of fighter he is, but it's what he's got left. The technical stuff, you can't pretend to have that. He's a technically on-point fighter. He understands it. The wisdom he's got, the boxing abilities he's got. It's now age and fitness and his legs. We want to see if he's still got them.
But why wouldn't he have it, Johnny? I mean, did we see anything in the Usyk fight besides the fact that Usyk was technically a better opposition than he's been in against? Did we see anything in that fight that gave us cause to believe that Tyson Fury isn't still at a level that would sail past the Makhmudovs of the world?
Well, for me, in my eyes, a lot of times you saw Tyson falling back on his heels. A lot of times you saw Tyson. I thought, your legs are no longer there. Your boxing IQ has got you through the 12 rounds both times and up against an amazing fight, which shows how technically outstanding you are. But your legs have gone. They're not there. The legs what you had are gone. His dad was spot on. And now you look at his fight. Look, when he's falling back on his heels, look at how he's moving around the ring. And you just look at his last 3 fights. Look at his footwork. You see for yourself. You don't need his own man to tell you. And so that's why I say he's going to depend on the wisdom and the boxing technique he has to win the future fights going forward.
Johnny, what percentage of the old Tyson Fury do we need to see for him to get victory on Saturday night?
As I said, I think 80% beats Makhmudov. 80%, the 80% of
60% not enough?
No, 80% beats Makhmudov because, if he's not fit, Makhmudov gets him. He has to be fit, and the rest is done. He's got the experience. He's worn the T-shirt. He's done everything expected of him. So I expect Tyson Fury to get the job done. I don't see there being a danger there unless he's really, really deteriorated.
Do you see that a different style of Tyson fighting? We saw, I know I don't want to compare eras, but we saw Ali change in the 70s from being a fighter that moved to a fighter that stood and fought in a different way. Isn't there a possibility that Fury, given what you've just said and the movement that he potentially doesn't have, would fight a different way and still be effective in being able to do that, given the competency that he has?
Well, what way can he fight? So Tyson Fury, he's tall, he's got a long range, and that's always been a great advantage for him, whoever he's boxed. And that brain, that knowledge he's got, has always been one step ahead. He can't turn into a slugger. He can't turn into a front foot fighter, because he's not that kind of guy. Great counter puncher, great on the end of a jab. If he's going to get into war, that fight's gone. That fight went way back with Wilder. That fight's gone in him, and we saw the rest of it rinsed out when he boxed Usyk. That's gone. So now he's got to depend on all the knowledge that he has. He can't be any other kind of fighter.
And this is my argument with Makhmudov, that you can't, as limited as you may feel that he is, you can't sit in the pocket with him and give him that opportunity to get off with those shots. And that's where Tyson Fury, if we're talking about changing, adjusting styles, and he wants to take the fight to Makhmudov, then he makes it a very hard night for himself.
For sure. Johnny, we can't have you on as a former cruiserweight champion and not talk briefly about the cruiserweight division. What did you make of what's going on with the likes of Jai Opetaia, whose ambitions to unify Luke's have been all but scuppered as he's joined Zuffa?
You know what? So the governing bodies, they are in danger of being completely ignored, because when you know who's the best, you know who's the best, no matter who they say, who they stick their belt around the waist of. And Jai Opetaia, they can try and ignore him, but then the people speak, the people see for themselves. Jai Opetaia's the best one out there. So no matter what they try and do to shut him out, to say, well, you're not having our belt, it's them that are losing credibility. It's the governing bodies that are saying, that are making themselves look bad. I don't understand what The game plan is with Opetaif, moving with Zuffa, great move. Does he believe in the Zuffa idea, plan? He must do, and it's got to start somewhere. He just wants to fight. That's one thing I like about him. He just wants to fight the best. And if you give him that option, he doesn't care about the belts because he's one of the few fighters that doesn't have to care about the belts. You know he's the best.
I was with Mick Francis actually at the media day yesterday, and he was talking about this situation, and he does want to be undisputed champion. He said that Zuffa Boxing are in conversations about working in with the governing bodies.
Yeah.
He was very upset that he'd been stripped of that title, and he wants to get it back. So his focus is still very much on becoming undisputed champion.
Johnny, for the moment, thank you very much. Johnny Nelson with us this lunchtime. Johnny will be alongside Spencer and Adam Castro when Fury goes in on Saturday night, providing talkSPORT coverage via a watch-along of Fury Makhmudov on the YouTube channel at TAF12.
Boxing updates on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Coming back after a 15-month absence to face Makhmudov at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday night. Also on the undercard of that, Fraser Clarke goes in against Justis Huni. And that is a fight in itself, but I wonder what kind of Fraser Clarke's going in against Justis Huni. Huni was on the show just the other day, because Fraser reputationally, after 2 defeats in his last 3 fights, there's a great deal on the line for Fraser. I'm going to get Spencer's view and Simon's view in a second, but remember, it was Spencer who was in conversation with Fraser yesterday, and it was a pretty spiky, prickly Fraser Clarke.
Listen, let's gate crash that world stage. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Do you know what I mean?
What a headline. Let's gate crash that world stage.
100%, And what you remember is we're in the heavyweight division with 2 fighters. And I'm not, if anyone thinks that they're ever going to see Fraser Clarke turn up in a boxing ring and just try and compete or do a bit or just be there to pick up a paycheck, you're out of your mind. You're off your rocker. The person I am, the way I was brought up, you fight to win. And that's simple as that. There's a dog in me, and listen, what people say, and they can see what they've seen. I'm not falling over for no one. I'm not just showing up to take part. If he thinks he's coming here and I see there's a lot of people here, a lot of Aussies here, and he's team Fury and he's with all the guys and that. If they think they pick someone that's just gonna fall over and not come and have a fight, mate, they pick the wrong person, because I'll be fighting him for every second of every round. If he is not prepared properly, he's
Wow, that doesn't sound like the Fraser Clarke I know and love.
It's not the Fraser Clarke I know and love either. It's not the guy that we've seen in the past. We know fight weeks here. The reality's on the line. That Fraser Clarke's career's on the line. That's where we're at here, because he's lost at that level now a couple of times. Last time out against Jamie TKV. And it'll be, where's the ambition? Where does he really want to compete? Because if he loses to Justis Huni, then, he's got to have them conversations with himself. So I understand it. But Fraser, he said that him being the underdog and the way people are just writing him off, that's what's got his back up. And I like that side of it, to be fair. I think that he needed that, because I go, Fraser, you need to deliver here, mate.
Yeah.
You have to go, we need to see more than what we've seen in the past. It's no good competing. We need to see you winning these fights.
Simon, I want to concentrate on the undercard itself, because it's got plenty of intrigue in it on Saturday night. Not least Conor Benn, Regis Prograis, not least Jamie TKV against Richard Riakporhe. I'm delighted to say joining us live is top trainer Ben Davidson. And Ben, as I understand it, you've had Jamie TKV working out in your gym. How is he looking? Good afternoon, Ben.
Afternoon. No, he's all good. Like you say, he trains with Barry in my gym. Well prepared, British champion, and he wants to make sure he goes home with a British title still.
It's tough defence, isn't it, against Richard Riakporhe? There's a little bit of the unknown going into this heavyweight division, Riakporhe, but we saw him against Tommy Welch last time out, won that one in 2 rounds, looked impressive in doing so. So it's a tough fight, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think Jamie's a tough British title fighter as well. So I think there's a big jump up in class. Jamie had a good victory against. I saw you there talking about Fraser. Jamie had a win at a decent level, former stablemate of Richard as well. So he'll know, how good Jamie is to be doing what he done with Fraser in there. And, Jamie knows what he needs to do. And it's a case of Richard will have to come put on a big performance if he was to leave with a British title. But we're confident that Jamie will remain British champion.
Ben, have you seen a different mentality in Jamie now that he's the champ and he's no longer the underdog?
No, not really. I think he's a hard worker, Jamie. What you see is what you get. He's a grafter. He's not an easy night's work for anybody. He's always jumped in and sparred with, some of all the top heavyweights that I've worked with. He's always been game, jumped in, no hesitation, and always, give as good as he gets.
And that's it, Ben, isn't it? That he is that guy that's sort of like, he's been the underdog going into a lot of fights and maybe not been given the recognition that he deserves. I actually done the corner for him out in Poland when he boxed in Poland in one of his earlier days. I actually did. And yeah, I helped him out in the corner, and he's a fantastic guy, but a guy that sort of like doesn't mind being written off because he continually proved people wrong, and he says that he's going to do the same again on Saturday night. Very relaxed approach to the fight actually on yesterday.
Yeah, and I think part of that is probably because, like I say, where he's been in the gym, he's forever been sparring with, world champions, former world champions, future heavyweight champions. And like I say, he's always give as good as he gets. So I think that instills confidence in him. And I think he knows what he's capable of doing.
Ben, in terms of levels, where do you think you can take Jamie?
Again, I don't want to try and take credit for Barry's work. With Barry, he's Jamie's trainer. But, like I say, from what I've seen, from what he can deliver in the gym, if he can transition that and perform the same way on the night, he's more than capable of competing right at the top.
I think it's an interesting matchup, Simon, isn't it?
Yeah. Are you surprised, Ben, that the bookies seem to be making Richard Riakporhe the favourite in this fight?
I think he's the one that's probably had a bit more promotion and a bit more backing, and I think he's been professional for longer than Jamie. He probably got a bit of a bigger name, so naturally the expectation would be with Richard Riakporhe, and I think a lot of people probably haven't seen Jamie perform to his best yet. So I wouldn't say I'm shocked if I take into consideration those things. But I think, if you had the inside scoop on Jamie, I think the people that know Jamie and know what he's capable of, I think they probably wouldn't have it that way.
What do you make of Riakporhe? I mean, obviously Riakporhe, I like Richard. He's a Crystal Palace fan. I wanted to see him do well in the fight against CBS. He froze completely in that fight at Selhurst Park when he had an opportunity to tilt for a world title. It's perceived that that's a weight issue as much as anything else. He moves into the heavyweights. I mean, what do you make of him? What sort of fight do you expect to see that Jamie's going to have to overcome?
I think that he's a dangerous guy. I think that there's not much margin for error because he's a big puncher. He's one of the few, to be honest. Often you'll hear this guy's a big puncher, that guy's a big puncher, and then you'll speak to guys that have sparred him, and then this guy will say, I didn't think he hit that hard, and someone else will say, I thought he hit hard. Richard's probably the only fighter that I've never heard anybody say, I didn't think he hit that hard. Everybody says about Riakporhe, and he can really punch. So, like I say, there's probably little margin for error, but I expect to see Jamie dominate majority and big chunks of the fight.
Jamie has an incredible ability to avoid those sort of punches, though, and it's not always attractive. It can be, it can be very awkward at times, but it's very successful, isn't it? And we saw that against Fraser Clarke last time out. It's that, it's never really pretty, but it works. It's effective.
Yeah, Jamie's big, physical, tough, good body puncher, and I think those things can take their toll, especially on somebody moving up from cruiserweight. But he can also box, and I think we saw that when Jamie boxed David Adelaide. I thought Jamie was well ahead there as the scorecards had him. There was obviously a very messy situation with the referee in that fight, but I think he's versatile, and I do understand. I don't think people have seen the best of him yet, so hopefully we get to see that on Saturday night.
Ben, briefly, do we need Tyson Fury back, and what kind of Tyson are we going to see against Makhmudov?
Well, it's good to see more broadcasters involved in the sport, more opportunities for some of the other fighters coming through. I think that Tyson should look good against Makhmudov. I think that he's tailor-made, to be honest. And I think that, I expect him to look good. And if he doesn't look good, I think that there would be alarm bells for Tyson himself.
All right. No alarm bells about Moses Itauma, one of the boxers you train. How is it in the corner of one of the division's hottest properties right now?
Yeah, he's a phenomenal talent, and he's, you know, he's got a great attitude, very coachable. I think that he's taking it in his stride. I think that he's coming out of his shell in some ways. He actually said to me that was the most calm, and because it was the most calm he's felt going into the fight and whilst in the fight, he felt it was his most enjoyable. And I could just see he's got that love for the game, and that excites me. That because when they've got that and they enjoy their training and they've got that talent that he's got, I just think the world's your oyster.
Ben, you've trained all the top heavyweights. Just wanted to quickly ask you this one. You know, in terms of punch power, where does Moses Itauma fit into that? You know, you've had your Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, you've done all those guys. Give us a comparison. Does he hit as hard as him, guys?
I get asked this all of the time, and it's so difficult because I think you'll know, Spence, the power, getting hit by different people can be a different type of power.
Yeah.
Types of power. Some people will be heavy and clubbing and weighty, and, you know, some people will be sharp. I didn't even see that coming. Snappy. Some people are sort of a blend of the two. I find some people, they almost feel like they've got bricks in their hands. And I believe that's partly down to bone density. I think those type of punches, if you put them in a DEXA scan and check their bone density, I imagine it would be very high. Moses is one of those where he scores on all of them. I think he's sharp, snappy, very heavy. He's super strong, super ridiculously strong. He sets them up fantastic. And they're heavy, and I feel like he scores well across the board. Whereas some punches might be, they're just very, very heavy. Some punches might be very snappy. I feel like he's one of those that are across the board. So I think that he punches just as hard as all of them.
Ben, brilliant stuff. I think I'd disappoint you if you were working with me. My bone density isn't up to much, Ben. But that's one of those things, mate. Thank you so much. Go on, Ben.
As long as you do a good job setting it up, I'm sure we can get you a few knockouts.
I'll be down the gym by about 2:30. Thank you, Mr. Davison. We're live in TalkSport with Selco, where the trade goes.
The TalkSport 20k giveaway.
Now, you've got until 4 o'clock today to put yourself in the running for £20,000. Imagine that. Imagine that, Spencer. 20 grand tax-free landing straight into your back pocket. Your chance to win it, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. The number to call, 0343 418 7260. Lines closed today at 4 o'clock. That's when you'll need to answer your phone. Here's an idea once it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. It's a network promotion. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com. We've been talking about Fury against Makhmudov this weekend. Also on the undercard, we're going to be seeing Conor Benn up against Regis Prograis in the welterweight division. Now, Spencer was down at a press launch yesterday and all of a sudden ended up in conversation with Conor Benn. I'll get to the reasons around that in a second, Spencer. But alongside Gareth A. Davis, the two of you spoke with Conor Benn. And you put it to Conor, how easy was it for him to remain focused on Regis Prograis when beyond that, everyone's linking him with other big fights?
It's really hard for me to look past someone like Regis, two-time former world champion. Got to give him his roses and the respect he deserves. Ultimately, most fighters would have waited for the Garcia fight, which would have been, August, September. Due to me being made mandatory in #1 position, I could have just waited. I chose to have a run out, but I chose to...
So you called it a run out?
No. I chose to have a run out, and they presented Regis to me. I said, yeah, sweet, no problem.
You got to be on your game against him, there's no question about it.
How difficult is that, though, the focus, like, you know, because it's so easy to jump ahead. You know, them big fights are on the horizon, you know, stateside with Ryan Garcia, etc. Everyone calling out your name. You've made a big name for yourself over there as well. So focusing on this one, which is a potential banana skin against a great fighter like Regis, how difficult is it to stay focused on that as opposed to jumping too far ahead?
Joe, it's a hard one because you do it. It is easily done.
Absolutely.
It is easily done. So I am very aware of it, where you go, cool, yeah, Ryan Garcia's around the corner, I'm mandatory, I'm #1. I could just wait, but this opportunity was presented. I could do with getting out again at 150 before dropping down completely to 147. So it's strategic from my end because ultimately I've been walking around at 170 for the past 3 years. You know, not having to make weight really. You know, eating steak for felt just throughout the camps, you know, and that presented a different struggle in itself. But for me, I've got to win this fight. Like he can ruin everything. You know, so it's not like I don't take him lightly at all. You know, he thinks he's going to come in there and impose himself on me. Boy, is he wrong. You know, this for me is my world title, because if I don't get past Regis, I don't get my shot.
So Conor goes in against Regis Prograis. Because of what's going on in the past, Spencer, are we still none the wiser as to who or what Conor is and where he might end up in the sport?
Well, look, he said he wants to campaign at 147. He went up to 160 to box Chris Eubank Jr. We know what that was for, the financial reasons, a family feud, all of that. You know, they're two great fights up at 160. Coming back down, this is at 150. Regis Prograis, who's never boxed above 142 before. You know, we remember him boxing Josh Taylor.
Sure.
And that was way back when, 2019, I think. And Jack Catterall. You know, he's a great fighter, been around a long time. He's had 33 fights, 130 of those, 24 of those inside the distance, but has campaigned a much lighter weight. So Conor Benn should win this one. It's a name on his resume. But Regis Prograis is not to be taken lightly. And also, we don't know what sort of effects that's going to have had on Conor Benn. He's boxed at 160. He's now coming down to 150. He says that he can get to 147, which I don't believe is achievable. I don't think he'll have the strength down there. I think his career will probably fall in the 154, the super welterweight division. That's probably where he'll land. But as me and Simon were just talking about when we were watching the interview there, he looks very lean, very drawn, you know, so it must be a bit of a struggle for him. And how's that affected him? Will the strength still be there? Will the punch power still be there? It's an interesting fight, because Prograis is a decent fighter.
Yeah. What's your take on it?
I mean, in theory, not in factual times, Regis Prograis' best days are behind him, and Conor Benn's best days should be ahead of him. And they've picked this fight, like we said earlier on, and it's a Dave Allenism. He's the best. He's the best matched fighter financially that's probably ever been. This is an interesting dynamic, but I would expect Conor, irrespective of how slight he looks there, and it might be because we've just seen him bulked up over the last 6 to 8 months, or even 12 months, that he looks very slight there, pint-sized Dennis Rodman. But I expect him to go. I expect him to go in there and to beat Regis Prograis where it takes him. If it takes him into the 154 category because he can't get to 147, he's in a world of trouble there. Because I don't see him beating Josh Kelly. I don't see him getting a glove on Boots Ennis.
But then you got, like, if you're going down the 147 route, you've got the likes of Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and like
You've got
these
Lewis
guys,
Crocker.
Lewis Crocker. Yeah, but does he beat Lewis Crocker?
No, I'm not saying he does, but of the two fighters, you'd probably take Lewis Crocker over Ryan Garcia, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Good to chat to Conor Benn all the same, though.
It's the first time I've had a conversation with him in...
your new mate.
No, I asked him. Is he your new bestie?
He's not my new bestie. No.
Gareth is. Wherever you go, Gareth E. Davis is there.
Can't you shake
You're
him
the
off?
kind of hinge and bracket of boxing.
He's my work partner, Gareth A. Davis, and he's doing a good job, by the way.
Your work partner?
He's doing a very good job, and he's always very complimentary about Simon Jordan.
Is he?
That's a whole different conversation. But look, it's the first time I spoke to Conor since... You know, before all the troubles.
All right, Spencer.
Before all the allegations.
If I'm getting slagged off my jacket, Gareth E. Davis. I mean, come on.
Please.
Come on.
Lawrence the Wellenbowen gone wrong, yeah.
Oh, dear me.
He'll be listening to this, by the way.
Sorry, Spencer, finish off with what you're saying about Conor.
Yeah,
so interrupted you.
It's the first time. So how this came about was I didn't think I was doing that interview. I thought it was going to be with Gareth A. Davis because Conor's always refused to do an interview with me since, you know, the drugs allegations that I was very vocal about, and I stand by still.
Yeah.
You know, and we will have that conversation at a later date, you know.
Sure.
But Nicole, who works for Conor, she come up to me and said, look, listen, would you be in the interview? But obviously we don't want to talk about certain situations. I went, I understand that. Fight week. You know, he's got his fight head on. Let's just do it. So yeah, that's how we come to doing the interview.
I asked you the question, I got an answer. Certainly, it's 30 seconds of my life I'll never get back.
Well,
but
listen,
thank you so much, Spencer.
I think the answer was better than Ben Davidson's one about who hits harder. That is for sure.
We want to thank you, Spencer, as always. Thank you so much. Mr. Jordan, you'll be pleased to know it's raining where you're going in Spain, and I hope it continues to do so. It's 1 o'clock. Good morning, everybody. 5 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. We're also live on YouTube, even Prime Video. Wherever you want to watch the show, you can watch it with us all the way through until 1 o'clock. From 12 onwards, we'll talk boxing. We're about to talk boxing in a second. Spencer Oliver will join us around 12. In between now and then, you're going to hear from Celtic interim manager Martin O'Neill on that run-in. Will it be Hearts who end up Scottish champions? Will it be Rangers, or will it be Martin's Celtic? Martin in great form this morning when I spoke to him earlier on. Big fight, of course, coming up on Saturday night. Tyson Fury is back and he takes on the giant Russian Arslanbek Makhmudov. All eyes will be on that, not least Alexander Usyk and his camp will be watching events when Fury goes in again, this time against Makhmudov. Even his former promoter, the man who was up until recently Alexander Usyk's career-long promoter, he is Alex Krasiuk. I wonder what he thinks of the fight this weekend with Fury coming back and taking on Makhmudov. I spoke to Krasiuk just a short time ago, and the Ukrainian had a bunch of opinion that I'm sure all boxing fans are going to find interesting. First off, and he hasn't spoken much about it, I asked him about this split between himself and Alexander Usyk and how was life for him without the best boxer in the world.
Thanks God, it's all fine. That was a pleasant period of my life, a very good journey. We made a tremendous work together, but life is going on and we are doing what we have to do.
I know you keep a close eye on what is going on in the boxing world. Could you ever have envisaged the day that Alexander Usyk is going to fight a kickboxer, Rico Verhoeven? What do you think?
That would probably sound weird, but if I was there, that fight would probably not happen. Well, it's more like a joke, but on the other hand, I do understand Usyk and I do understand this decision because there are not too many options for him. Being on the level he is, being on the raid, he's an undisputed champion and he has the right to enjoy his career, and fighting a kickboxer, if it makes sense financial-wise, why not?
If you were still with him, this wouldn't be happening.
Definitely, because if I was still with him and he would be listening to me, he would retire after the second fight with Tyson Fury. He achieved everything possible. He earned as much money as only he could dream of, or even not, even more. So he is the national hero in his homeland. He is a well-recognized star in the whole world. Not just a boxing star, but the sports star. What else he has to prove? So nothing, for me, nothing else. So he has just to jump to take the final decision to finish boxing and to jump into the new phase of his career, of his life, actually.
I think I know you well enough to ask you this. Because Alexander wants to fight on and you wished he had retired, was that the reason that you parted company from each other?
Not really. There were multiple reasons, and we worked together for 12 years. Our contract expired long before we stopped our cooperation. So that was an adult decision. Where we stopped because it had to stop at some stage, and his new team, people around him, wanted to try being the bosses on their own. Why not? Everyone has the right to try.
Do you worry about him fighting on?
I'm not worrying about him because he's blessed. He's kissed by the Lord. If Lord is behind him, why should I worry?
Tyson Fury is back again this weekend. He fights Makhmudov. What do you think of that one, Alex?
Same as with Usyk. He hasn't got too many options to fight with. He actually fought everyone serious in the business, and we need not to forget that Tyson Fury is coming back from his retirement again. So, and Makhmudov is a very good option for the comeback fight.
Do you give Makhmudov any chance here?
Of course. This is heavyweight boxing. Makhmudov is not a beginner. You remember Tyson Fury fighting the MMA star. No one gave him a single chance, but Tyson was down in the fight. So you can't leave a guy, an opponent on that level without a single chance. Of course he has. Definitely Tyson Fury is the favorite. Definitely Tyson Fury is making his comeback fight and everyone expects him to win. But the fight will be very well watched in the world, and not just in the UK but in the world, because number one is Tyson Fury and number two, this is a heavyweight battle.
Potentially, Alex, one of the big money fights remains Fury-Usyk for a third time. Do you ever see that happening?
Yes. Yes, I see that happening because that's the only logical outcome of what is happening now. Assuming Tyson wins, assuming Usyk wins, that fight is very logical by the end of this year. And I assume Turki and Al-Sheikh being the magician of the industry now, he's having that in mind. I have zero confirmation on that, and this is just my personal opinion. But if people are there to make money on boxing, that's one of several fights that has money in. The other one is AJ with Tyson, which also very preferable for the public and very possible to happen.
That was Alex Krasiuk, long-time promoter of Alexander Usyk. Simon, in the embers of Fury's career, of Usyk's career, of AJ's career, it's interesting to see how the three will all shape their own endings.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, Fury has lots of options. He has lots of options. So he can fight Makhmudov, and you know, the only doubt in this fight is if Fury has nothing left of himself, which is no indication there won't be. And he'll have far too much for Makhmudov. It's a nice tune-up fight for him. He could fight Anthony Joshua, he could fight Ajit Kabiel, he could fight Moses Itauma, he can fight Usyk. He's got lots of. He could fight Daniel Dubois, he can fight a whole raft of people, and the same for Usyk. The interesting thing for Usyk is, of course, he knows him. And there will be, I mean, I think Usyk wanted to maintain more of the money as well. I think part of the reasons why they split companies, Usyk didn't want to pay him the percentage that he was getting out of the fights. And of course, the level of Usyk's purses have gotten bigger and bigger, and so will the remuneration for other people have gotten bigger and bigger. And it won't have been lost on the fighter that the scale of his purses are being reduced by X factor, that someone he thinks perhaps he could do the job himself.
Yeah.
Now, there's nothing about Usyk that, first of all, the mindset of a fighter. Is Usyk a fighter that fights for money, or is he a fighter because he fights? I think he's a fighter because he fights, and I think the sideshow is the money that he gets now, and it's part and parcel of the shtick that goes with him. So the understanding the mentality of the man, he understands the mentality of the man better than anyone else. Is there any decline in Usyk? We just saw Usyk wipe the floor with Daniel Dubois. Wipe the floor with him.
Yeah.
As good as he's ever been, if not better.
Yeah.
There's no decline in him. He's at the pinnacle of his powers. And so the only fight that I would suggest that Usyk doesn't really want to be anywhere near is probably Moses Itauma, because that potentially has a legacy busting perspective. No one wants to see the old guard getting bashed into the next life by the new one. Boxing fans do, but not the people around the old guard. So Usyk, if he's lived the life that he's lived a life that's been committed to his sport without any distractions, besides his support of his nation in the challenge that the Ukraine nation has had as a result of the illegal invasion from the Russians. But other than that, he's lived his life completely focused on the sport with a discipline and an inherent responsibility to being a consummate professional. So he is a different animal than, say, Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury doesn't live that life that way.
Right.
So the fact that he wants to continue fighting, there's always a risk. There was a risk at 25 years of age his health was in jeopardy. There's a risk at 30 years of age. The fact is he's so far and above everybody else at this moment in time that actually it's money for old rope unless you're going to put someone really difficult in against him, which might be a young Moses Itauma.
Interesting that he wouldn't have had him go in against Rico Verhoeven. He wouldn't have.
Oh, he would have done.
He would have done.
It's easy for him to say now, but he's a commercial man. He wasn't strategizing about the way Alexander Usyk fights. He was strategizing about the commercial reality of Alexander Usyk and who he fights to make the most opportunities.
Yeah.
So Rico Verhoeven is a sideshow. It's a bag of money that creates an outcome that's been done by many a fighter in the past, all the way back to Muhammad Ali in the 70s, who was the originator of the big purses for boxers. So if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for Tyson, for Alexander Usyk. The only caveat I have to that is I think it's a discredit if it's for the WBC belt. That's laughable. If the WBC wants to put the actual belt on the line, that's shocking. It's a complete and utter degradation of duty to the other fighters in the division.
Yeah.
At the same time as a diminishing of the value of the WBC brand. But that's their gift. That's their loss.
Right.
Other people will take advantage as a result of it.
Yeah.
I don't blame him for it. I just don't like the fact that he sat on his laurels for a period of time. You know, the other belts have been tied up while he's done it.
Yeah.
He was injured, so he couldn't fight Joe Parker, and Joe Parker got himself into a terrible mess there and afterwards, isn't he? In terms of losing to Fabio Broadley and testing positive for drugs and all kinds of things. So there's all challenges as a result of it, cause and effects. But I think that Usyk has every right to continue fighting. And if we see Usyk go into a fight, and we see a diminished version of him, then that's a different discussion.
Yeah.
But if he wants to fight on, and his psyche is the same, then I don't think it's anyone's gift.
Yeah. And you heard Krasiuk there. If he overcomes Verhoeven, what might be next? Well, maybe further down the line, it could be a third fight with Fury.
Well, yeah, Fury will want that. I mean, we know, Makhmudov has got 2 chances to win this fight, no chance, and Slim left town. So he's in a situation now where the only version of Tyson Fury that he gets that Eubank Makhmudov can beat is a completely washed out one that spent like 16 months out of the ring and is not prepared for this fight. Other than that, to me, it's a foregone conclusion on the weekend.
Right.
And so where Top Fury goes next, where's the money? If Fury's in pursuit of money, he doesn't need any money. He keeps on telling everyone how much money he's got. So he doesn't need the money. So I'm assuming it can't just be he's after the money of the fights. It must be he's after some sort of recognition.
Yeah.
So that must be a world title shot. And who's that against? Maybe the winner of Dubois Wardley.
You've got to see him fight AJ at some stage.
Well, I'm not that bothered about it, but I understand why everyone else is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not that bothered about Tyson Fury. As far as I'm concerned, he is what he is, and I don't like the way he operates. But I marvelled over his career back in the day. I'm not so much of an admirer of him now because of his attitude and outlook outside of the ring. But insofar as fighting Anthony Joshua, it's one of those circles that everyone thinks need to be squared. If you want to put two diminished fighters into a ring and package it like we do so well in this country as the real deal, then people will come and watch it.
Okay, we'll build up to Fury Makhmudov from 12 onwards with little Spencer Oliver. It's 11:15.